Hello, beautiful artists. Welcome, 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 everybody. Hello, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas, Merry Christmas. Want to wish you all happy holidays, Merry Christmas. Hope you all are having a fabulous December. Hi, Debbie Nelson. Good to see you. Let me know if you can hear me as well. That would be great. Excited to paint with you guys again today. Hi, Elizabeth. So good to see you here. Good morning. Good morning. Hello, Trina, Bailey. Welcome, welcome. So in today's, oh good, you can hear me? Yes, yay, awesome. So today we are going to be doing a follow-up on the painting that we started yesterday. So if you missed yesterday's Facebook Live, then make sure that you catch up on that if you have questions about the stage that we're at right now. So this is a month of December. Why am I doing this? I am doing it to help all of us get into the Christmas spirit and to spread cheer and generosity and joy, right? To cultivate joy this month. I know sometimes the holidays can get crazy, wacky, and sometimes people also have lost loved ones at the holidays, or maybe, get sad or get down at the holiday time. So it's such a fabulous time of year, but also it can be really challenging as well, right? This is life. So I just wanted to do something this month that was a way of me showing my gratitude and appreciation for every single one of you. All of my students, all of my art collectors, everybody who cheers me on, cheers my work on all year long, who constantly is sending me emails and comments about how much you appreciate me. So this is my way of saying thank you back to you guys for that. So if this is your first Facebook Live for December, where are we at? December 8th. So I think we're on like number 6 maybe. Since I'm not doing them on Sundays. You can check all of them out right here on my Facebook page. I highly recommend that you like or follow the page, whatever that is, so that you can get notified. What I'm doing is creating an event for these every single day with the time. And so if you follow or like the page, Facebook is going to let you know, hey, it's about to start. That way you don't miss it or don't forget. Okay. And then also in the description box, I have so many other freebies and gifts and giveaways for you guys available, contests, chances to win free prizes. So if you're interested in any of that, check out those links and take advantage of anything that appeals to you. Next week, I am having a huge Christmas party. All Art Life School members are invited and included automatically in that. If you want to join in on the fun, I'll be doing demos all day long privately via Zoom next Friday. And you'll also get the recordings for those if you're not in the Art Life School. So on that day as well, I'll be giving away lots of extra goodies and prizes. So that does cost to attend that. If you're an Art Life School member, you get in for that for free. So you can check details out on that if you want to participate in that and have a chance to win lots of fun prizes and get some extra instruction on that day. What else? Oh, and that day too, I'm going to be announcing the winner of my painting raffle. You can buy painting raffle tickets to win a painting of mine, your choice, size 12 by 16, this size on the wall actually, or under, any painting your choice, for just $20. You do not have to be present to win the painting. You do not have to be a participant at the Christmas party to win the painting either. And you can purchase however many raffle tickets that you want for that. So I just want to make that clear because I've gotten a lot of questions on that. Like, do I have to, buy a ticket for the Christmas party to do the painting raffle? No, you don't. That's just the day that I'll be announcing the winner and drawing the winner publicly. So the link is there for that as well if you want to get in on some raffle tickets too for a painting. Okay, everybody, welcome, welcome. I see so many people coming in. Please let me know who's here, where you're tuning in from. Gosh, this has been so much fun. We've done so many fun paintings already. Katha says, good morning, friends. I usually watch Christmas movies while decorating my tree, but today I'm streaming Kelly while I decorate. That's freaking awesome. I love that. Thank you so much. Woo! I love that. Hi, Maria. Hi, Madeline. Hello, Lorraine. Wonderful, wonderful. So happy to be here. Kathy says, I'm so happy you're here too. Thank you so much. It really is an honor for you guys to bring me into your studios, into your homes. Hi, Marianne. Hello, hello. Hi, Irene Kwong. Good morning. So many beautiful people. So, yes, wonderful, wonderful. Madeline from Tucson, Arizona. Welcome, welcome. So anybody who's new, hi, Caroline Perlowski, Miriam Cortez. Hello, hello, beautiful people. For those of you who have not been here, we have been doing primarily these little teeny tiny paintinis is what I call them. We've had so much fun painting these little guys together. I've demoed multiple of those for you guys. And some of you have already sold your paintings, which is like awesome. Congratulations. So these are, we've done a bunch of these little 2x2s the last couple of days. Let's see, what else did we do? Little 3x3. Is this a 3x3? Yeah, 3x3. On the very first day, we did these little paintinis together. And as I told you guys, I'm going to be shaking this up and mixing this up, right? So that we all stay inspired. And yeah, and I think that that's super important as an artist, that we just follow what sounds interesting, what seems like it would be fun to do, inspiring to do, and really also just allowing space and time for ourselves, for that intuition to talk to us. Okay. That is something in today's day and time, I think that's kind of rare. It's just like listening to your intuition, listening to your creative voice. So many of us get on the, to-do list wagon and go, and check off everything on the to-do list. And then of course, life happens. Like, last month, some of you guys know this, but last month, my uncle had an incredibly severe stroke. We almost lost him. He was in a coma. I had to fly out twice, not had to, I was happy to, but I flew out twice in the month of November for that. And so sometimes that stuff happens, life transitions, family crisis, health crisis. These things happen, right? And it can really knock us off of our flow, of our creativity, of our flow. And so November was an incredibly challenging month for me. And I know that I'm not alone in that. And so part of me, like, healing myself and listening to my own intuition is what I'm doing right here with all of you today. If I had not gotten still long enough and quiet long enough and just asked, like, what do I need? What does my heart need right now? What does my creativity need right now? If I had not made the time to do that and to allow space for that answer to come, I would not be doing this with you guys this month. Because this is one of the ideas that came out, was like, show up every day and give away a free demo and connect with you guys and share, and yeah, be in that gratitude and be in that generosity. So I just want to remind everybody of that. If you're super busy right now, or there's just a lot going on, just carving out 10 minutes just to be quiet and listen. Our soul, our spirit, our highest self always knows what it is that we need, and if we take the time to hear. Okay, so we are following up today. Welcome, everybody, on this painting that we started yesterday. And if you weren't here, ooh, hello, Marie, from my favorite place on the planet, Paris, France. Hello and welcome. I'm so jealous. I do have plans to go there next year. I am working my plan out to get there next year for an entire month. So excited about that. So, hi, Varsha. Welcome. Hi, Lillian. Hello, Jamie. Hi, Kirsten Savage. I hope all of your stuff that you've been doing is going well. You've been in my mind. You've been on my mind, and I've been meaning to check in with you. I've noticed that you have been kicking butt, girlfriend. So happy for you. Tanya, hello from South Africa. Welcome, welcome. Awesome. Isn't this fabulous how we can like be all over the world and connected? Wow. It's amazing. It's crazy because social media can often feel very disconnected, right? Where it's a lot of consuming and maybe getting into that comparisonitis or FOMO, or feeling yucky or competitive with people and all that shit, gross. But this is the beauty also, right? Like everything has two sides to that coin. Nothing is really all, bad or all good. It's really how we use it, how we utilize it, how we engage with it. And so this is so beautiful. All of us here together. Here, Karen Merckx is in the UK, I believe. So all across the world, artists who love beauty, who love to make art, and I hope you all know how important the work is that you're doing. Sometimes as artists, we can feel like it's not important, but I'm here to tell you it is the opposite of destruction, and it helps balance those scales of destruction. And every single time that you create, and especially every single time that you create and put that out into the world and share it with the world, that is so hugely important. And why are there so many artists right now? Because we need it. We need creativity. We need the power of creativity. We need the power of beauty and the power of art. And so I really believe that that's why there are so many artists just rising up right now. So I never look at somebody was asking me recently, like, oh gosh, why are there so many artists, And you could feel like that sense of scarcity in their voice. You could just feel that energy behind the question. And I was like, yeah, it's good. Like we need trust me, we need all these artists, and there will be enough people to support all these artists and appreciate all these artists as well. There's enough audience for everybody, enough supporters for everybody. And all of us are doing different things, but what we're doing matters. What we're doing is important. So I encourage you, I invite you to consider that, just trying that on. If you don't think it's important, or if you think it's just a luxury or not necessary or anything like that, I invite you to just try that on. Try on a different belief, and just notice what comes up for you. Okay, let's go. Let's paint. So excited. All right, so I have not touched this since yesterday. I try really hard not to do that. Hi, Bobby Brainerd. Welcome, welcome. I try really hard not to do that in between demos, because I know sometimes I used to watch demo videos and stuff by artists, and all of a sudden you would see like a huge change in their paintings. And it's like, wait, what did they do? How did they make that look like that? Because, oftentimes in the editing, so much gets cut out. So I really try in all of my instruction to just go straight to finish and not edit anything out, not polish anything up. What you see is what you get. I remember early on whenever I first started teaching online, and this lady she canceled her membership, and she said, one of her complaints was, she said that she thought that I was leaving a lot of stuff out of the demos, or editing a lot of stuff out. And I just thought, wow, that's so funny, because I've never edited anything out of my videos ever. Anyways, that's just me. It's something, when you're a student, you have pain points as a student. Both in art college, the people who maybe don't teach super well also teach you a lot, as a teacher, as how to teach better, or really just how you would have liked to have learned. And so I had more bad teachers than good teachers, or I would say less skilled teachers than more skilled teachers, or less caring or less empathetic teachers than the opposite of that. So it's all good, because all of that has taught me, all of those negative things that I went through has taught me that I want to do the opposite of that. Okay, so just reloading the palette here. Some flake white. Let's see, what else do we need? Definitely probably need some more cadmium red. We used so much of that yesterday. So for those of you who weren't here yesterday, just grab some paint. Cad red. I like my little tabaret thing over here. What else do I need? Cad red. I think that's it. Okay. For those of you who weren't here yesterday, I really talked a lot about color. There's a show right now up at the Denver Art Museum. Oh, they gave it a really long name: Saints, Sinners, Fools, Lovers, something like that. But it's a lot of Flemish art, all the way from the very beginning of art, of oil painting anyway, not art, but beginning of oil painting with the Flemish artists back from the 1400s. And so one thing I really admired while I was there was just how simple and pure their color was, how not complicated their color was. I feel like in today's time, gosh, we just overanalyze and overcomplicate the shit out of everything. Why do we do that? Why do we take something that is so simple and make it so hard? Or so simple and make it so complex. Painting is hard enough as it is. But I just was really struck by that, because whenever I left the show, I thought, wow, we really have not improved upon color since the 1400s, since the early, those first early oil painters. Okay, so we're going to start with that background color. This is just the tone. And so yesterday I was mostly just, mapping in all of the colors here in the foreground. And so today we're going to start with that background. Someone was asking me yesterday, like, if I knew what background color I was going to do. And I still don't know what background color I'm going to do. Sometimes you have a very clear idea and sometimes you don't, or I'll speak for myself in my experience. So I'm going to start with raw umber, yellow ochre, and I think I'm going to add some of this phthalo turquoise as well. I do want that background to be neutral, but I'm kind of interested to see what happens if I do make it a little bit, more on that blue-green side. Similar, kind of like a darker desaturated color of the eucalyptus. Of course, that's really going to make the red pops if I go the reds pop if I go that direction. So just getting enough of this in, and it's critical that I get enough of it in so that I can judge my values better, and specifically that I get enough in around my subject matter. So just making sure that I get enough paint down, and then, you can kind of spread it out more. Just so we can read how the light is working here and how the color is working. And I kind of look at this as like I'm guesstimating or ballparking in where I think I want to be, but that I'm open to, say adjusting the value or the color saturation. Like already I'm thinking, maybe we could have a little more color saturation back here and have it still read, more neutral than, say, the apples and all of that in the foreground. Since that red, it was just straight pure red out of the tube, which wasn't that satisfying. If you guys painted with me yesterday, did you enjoy that? Did you find that satisfying to do? I'm just going to paint right over these eucalyptus from yesterday. It's so satisfying to just use pure color out of the tube like that when you can. But yeah, I was really struck by that because I thought, my goodness, all these overcomplicated color systems out there. And hey, if that's your thing, like do it. Do what works for you, right? There's no right or wrong here. It's just art. It's art. You know? So I'm not like shaming anybody for that whatsoever. Um, for me, it's like, whoa, why do we feel the need to do that? The Munsell system and just endless analyzation and focus on color. Like, gosh, for me, I don't even think color is all that terribly critical to a good painting, personally. And then, trying to slavishly, copy the colors that we're seeing, I don't find that to be important either. So that's just my point of view on it. And whenever I go to an art museum, I don't really see that the art that's in there, for the most part, was not concerned with that either. I'm just putting in a little bit of this background color, you guys, into shadow planes and whatnot, just for color harmony's sake. This also does something else because I told you guys I was going to work on this again today. And what that means is that a lot of this paint is dry because I use a speed drying medium. So a lot of this paint is dry. And so by doing something like that, it basically just breaks the barrier down for me to say, I'm going to go back. I know I'm going to go back in and rework that so that I'm not like, oh, don't change that. Oh, don't change this, and being super careful. I have like zero interest in that. So on the second day's painting, I still want to, really be approaching it like I was doing the first day's painting. For this tabletop, I'm really just treating it as like a lighter version of the background. But I just want to have that kind of fresh start feeling. So I'm not attached. I'm just not attached to anything that I did on day one. Okay. I'm going to start to make this front edge of the table edge a little warmer. Some more reds and yellows in this mix. A little more kind of a wood tone, I guess you would say. It's just so satisfying to feel the paint on the brush, to watch the paint go down. Isn't it? It's like, wow. I'd love to hear from you guys too. How do you feel whenever you paint? What is what keeps you painting? What keeps you coming back again and again and again to painting? And what happens when you stop painting? Right? We're probably all a lot more similar than what you think, than what we think. There's still some of that green in the brush, which is kind of nice because it's mixing in, kind of muting some of that table edge color. And then if this really had a table edge on it, which it does not, there would be a cast shadow underneath. So I'm going to do some ivory black, some cab red light, little tiny pinch of cab red light, not much. Little pinch of cad yellow deep. Let me know too if you have any questions. I will be checking for those. So this is going to go kind of warmer up front to get more illusion of depth in the picture. So having that cooler color recede more, just like if you were painting a landscape outside. But I still consider all of this to be background material because it's not the star of the show, it's not the subject matter. So I just want to kind of keep it kind of quiet. And then while I'm down here, I can use this color to, just carve out more specific shapes on that carnation, little flower. And then I'd like there to be more of a gradation on the front edge of the tabletop. So I'm going to kind of mix that shadow color with the color that I put in. Just kind of go a little bit darker on the side. Just have a nice transition of value. For some reason, as human beings, we love transitions. We love those gradations, color gradations, value gradations. They're just so satisfying to look at. Okay. And I might do the same thing for the tabletop up here. It's like moving from, darker, less light to more lit up in the center. Let's see here. I'm going to also kind of pinch some of that in there to separate out these carnations. Maybe most of the green or yellow green will be around the yellow green grapes and apple. Okay. Awesome. Arena, I don't really know. I think it's more the first. She said, did you not put in the background first this time because you want to think about background colors after you've painted the objects, or is it because you'll paint over 2 days? It's more the first one. I just didn't have a clear idea of what background color I wanted to do. And I wanted to see like the vibrancy of these colors first before I made my decision. And there's multiple appropriate background values and colors that you could have used for this arrangement. So that's kind of where your own personal taste or just for that for that day even, right? Because sometimes our taste or what we're in the mood for can shift from day to day, right? And I think that that's important that we, I think that that's important that we do listen to that and do not freeze ourselves in any one spot in our artistic journey. So if you wake up one day and you're like, I feel like painting, a crazy brushstroke or even abstract painting with high key background or something, I think it's really critical for our creativity to not freeze ourselves or freeze other people as well into a box, like permanently, this is who you are as an artist and you will always be that way. And it just doesn't work, and it's not very freeing and it's not very creative. And I know that, for example, if you're a professional artist, I know that the art system rewards that, right? Like everybody wants to know, this is the box that you fit in. This is who you are. This is what you do. This is your brand. Just from like maybe even a business point of view, the advice gets given for that. And I think we just always have to balance that. We always have to balance, like, yeah, if you are going for, if there's something that you're going for that you have to have enough cohesion in your work, or galleries or shows or whatever are only responding to this kind of work, and that's important to you at that time in your art life journey, then yes, do that thing. But also I would invite everybody to consider not to put yourself in that box or freeze yourself in that place all the time. And certainly I would advise everybody not to have a belief system around that box, or such a strong identity around that box that you can't, explore, because I think all artists have to have that freedom to grow and to evolve and to explore as well. Hey, Jamie. Jamie says she's visiting her daughter. I can't paint. I'm over here bragging on you. Aw, that's so sweet. Um, okay, cool. So let's keep going. I just wanted to check in to see if there was any questions. Okay. So I'm going to fill my shadow over here on the ginger jar with a little more light and reflected light. So some raw umber and that cad lemon. So one way that we can really kind of turn the lights on in a piece is by finding those reflected lights. And then I think the shadow can go a little lighter overall. So going back to my original shadow color of the ultramarine blue, yellow ochre, a little bit of white, I think we can definitely go lighter. And it still read as shadow. You can grab a little bit of this brown, gray, gunky stuff over here. This is basically like our star of the show area with the vase and then these final, this zone, I would say. So your star of the show does not have to be just one object. I mean, typically there will be like one shape or one object that's most different that the eye will go to first whenever it looks at a painting. You know, if you've done your job well, there will be kind of a clear focal point, but I tend to think about it like a certain climax area, I guess I would say. Okay, more lemon yellow here. And if you didn't get too much impasto in your shadow on the first day, then you know it's gonna be easy breezy, beautiful to paint on the second day. So you do want to kind of keep glare out of the shadow for this type of painting, you know, for light and shadow painting. You definitely want to try to get that effect of like depth of, you know, the light being more opaque and thicker and catching more of the light and the shadow being more transparent feeling. Pull in a little bit more of that background green color here with the phthalo. Just keeping in mind that I'm going to put that pattern on top. So let's go ahead and do that now. Just going to use some ultramarine blue and a little bit of black. This isn't super pure blue. And then I'm going to make a lighter version of that with the white. Although maybe I do want it to be more pure. We'll see. Wipe that white out of my brush. We'll start over here in the shadow. I love, 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 love Asian objects and art as well. Do you guys? It's one of my favorite sections to visit at the museum. It's so calming and relaxing, and their level of craftsmanship is just so amazing, so gorgeous. Okay, so we definitely want to go darker in that shadow side. Just trying to make specific brush strokes. I feel like this is lit up enough. So what I might do before I do pattern on this side is just look to see if there's any other kind of nuance or anything that I want to bring in, like maybe more turning of the form or some of the reflected colors that are over here. So some of the yellows and reds are showing up just a pinch. into the porcelain or the glaze here. Some yellow, a little bit of red. So I like to make sure that I've got the pretty much the underneath totally the way that I would want it before I do the pattern on top. So I'm just going to kind of play here, see if I can get this a little more interesting, a little more nuanced. So just kind of mixing my blue, red, and yellow together to get some more subtle colors. Since this is a neutral object, and it's a nice balance to all of these objects that have all this pure color. So you do want to have, if everything is super pure in color, a little too light. If everything is super pure in color, it will, maybe feel a little off-putting to the viewer. So definitely having some areas of more neutral, desaturated colors is helpful. I don't really concern myself too much with like, oh, is that the right color? I just begin to layer wet into wet, some of these different colors and tones. Blue grays, purple grays, red grays. I'm just trying to see if I can get the form to transition a little bit more or curve a little bit more. The pattern will do a lot of that work, but sometimes you just want to see how you can take it a little further. Man, that Old Holland Kremnitz white is so dry. Of course, I've had it for a while too. I'm trying to use up my stock over here before I make another order. Trying to see, can I get through the month of December with this one tube of white? Probably not. There's also like some little divots or little, kind of pock marks in the stone here and there. That's probably a little bit too dark. Sometimes things like that are interesting to get in because they just add more of a specificity to the thing. Since this is such an old base. And I probably have this a little too glowy. I tend to get my glow on pretty strong. So, but if you do get it too strong, it'll maybe make that object look like it's transparent, like light's going through it. So, you can just pull that back a notch. Put some kind of warm tones back in there. Just paint over some of that cadmium that's in there. Because you do want your shadow, to make sure that your shadow is not coming forward too much in comparison to the light. And you see me stealing this background color a lot here just for some transition or right along the edge into shadow. Let me check and see if you guys have any questions. I will say one thing, I get this question a lot, so I will talk about this because inevitably when I work, people ask me this all the time, artists ask me this all the time about how, how do you keep it fresh and painterly whenever you're working on it a second time? And my answer is you don't. It's just the nature of like working wet into wet, the nature of that is that it's very easy to get that, lively brushwork. I'm not saying that you can't, it's just when you're working layers, layer upon layer, especially if the paint has dried. Just trying to kind of correct my drawing here a little bit. Try to get these shoulders a little more symmetrical. The nature of it ends up being that, that it just ends up getting a more, I guess, kind of polished look. I don't even know if polished is the right word, but just kind of less fresh, less fresh looking. So maybe it's like it ends up, going for more subtlety in that case. Definitely folks who glaze and things like that a lot. It's such a beautiful technique to use, and it's like you're not going to have sort of a painterly look, I would say. You go look at a Bierstadt, huge landscape that he obviously worked on over multiple sittings, and tons of scumbling and glazing, and it's a very different look. Same strength of compositions, colors, all that kind of stuff, but it just has a different feeling to it, a different depth to it versus his plein air sketches. And it is always interesting to see some of his plein air sketches. They have one at the museum, that's like there's a plein air sketch, and then there's one of his larger, kind of grander, huge landscapes. It's really fascinating to see the sketch and just how different it looks. A little bit of light there on the inside of that base. So just not being in a hurry, whenever you work multiple times on a painting, just not, it's interesting because it's like, oh, I'm only working on this for an hour, but it's almost as if time totally stands still, and almost as if I do not have a time limit, I guess I would say. So I'm just not even thinking about time, which is fun for a change. We are, as artists, we get to be magicians, right? We get to stop time. Okay, let's see if there's any questions. Hello, Donna Johnstone. Welcome. Yes. This point, is the light on your jar still wet? No. Because I use flake white, and the flake white dries faster, it's not totally cured, I'll say that, right? Like obviously it's not going to be, the only colors that might still be wet are like alizarin and cadmium. The cadmiums that I use straight possibly might still be wet. So yeah, if you want to keep your paint wet, then you do not want to use a speed drying medium like I use. You want to just use oil, or like a traditional mixture. How do I make this color? Let's see. So beautiful. Got this phthalo turquoise. I'm going to do some, there we go. I think that's closer. Some white. It does need to be lighter than the background, so it needs a little bit of white and a little bit of cad lemon. Make sure that what you do on your painting looks good on your painting, and that you're not just copying what it looks like in reality. So if you're going to put in like a gesture or something, or a shape, just make sure that that shape looks good in the finished painting, because nobody's ever going to see, well, I mean, you guys will obviously, but nobody, the buyer, or you know what I mean, are not going to see the real thing. So you're not a slave to reality. You are just using reality as a jumping off point. So with these kind of leaves, they're primarily just flat shapes. So I like to just kind of slow down and just make some flat shapes with them. It's kind of like a twisting, and sometimes too, I didn't do this with this particular setup, but I'll take the time to maybe take off some of those that I don't want on there, because sometimes some of these branches can be so filled with leaves, and doesn't create it very interesting negative spaces or a pace or a rhythm in between leaves. I mean, that's kind of a really nitpicky nuance thing, but the more you paint, really the more you'll get attuned to those sorts of things. You'll just start to notice, oh, I wish that leaf wasn't there. You're paying more attention to your painting than you are copying real life, if that makes sense. So for example, like in the setup, all this is really touching the jar, and I just don't want that to be like that in my painting. A little bit of black in with this color for cast shadow, where one leaf is on top of another leaf, and just trying not to get too much glare or impasto in that shadow shape so it doesn't reflect the light back to the eye, so it has a little more depth. So obviously this kind of painting will take a little more time investment than our paintinis, right? So you just have to know like what feels good to you. Do you want it, or do you feel like painting fun paintinis today? Or do you want to go deep? Do you want to go deeper? Do you want to slow down and maybe contemplate a little bit more? Time and a place, right, for all of it. Just going to take some of that tabletop kind of gray green that I had. I find that with stems, whether it's on grapes or on leaves like this, that they are critical to get some of that stem in there. The highlight, however, arena is not totally dry, so I could kind of rework that a little bit. Sometimes too, I love a palette knife just as a great unifier, or to flatten things out a bit, or just to like pick up a piece of color or paint and kind of drag it around. You could even kind of scrape some of this paint, scrape into some of the paint to create some more interesting textures on this really old, vase. Again, it's really just kind of like, where are you at today? What's your mood? What are you interested in? No good or bad, no right or wrong. What do you need today? Anytime we're latching on too much to what somebody else is telling us what we should do, right? It's like, no bueno. Listen to yourself. Listen to what you need. Just kind of opening that up a bit there. And I think that's in pretty good shape for me to do some pattern. Try to see if I can curve this a little bit. And the more you paint, the more you feel that, like obviously we can be serious about it and take ourselves seriously, but I think the longer you paint, I've been painting for like 15 years now, and the longer I paint, the more it's just like, this is just fun, and not so attached to how it goes, or is it going to turn out well, or getting frustrated about it, and just feeling like this sense of comfort and safety in the process. Even if I do have to redo something like this, right? Like, oh, it's all gonna go according to plan. Or like Bob Ross used to say, right? Like, they're all happy acts. There's no mistakes. Namaste, no mistakes. But, I definitely remember in the very, very early days not being able to feel that way most of the time. Most of the time feeling the opposite of that. So at some point just accepting like that I'm in this for the long haul, I'm in this, this is in me, it's just part of me. It's part of who I am. And I have to express that. I have to express this on the canvas. It is just my nature. And so it doesn't really matter what the outcome is of it, right? Anyways, I think I can get a little more gradation up here just to accentuate that highlight a bit more. Just going a little pinch darker there. And also maybe a little touch of that blue green, little broken color there for some visual interest. I try to like load up my star of the show with as much juicy stuff as possible. See if anybody has any questions. Hello, Jan Carnell from Mississippi. Awesome. Great comment here. I like how many fast painting demos we can see. Yes, I like to lose myself in the paintings. How do you keep your colors so bright? Well, if you watch the first day, Jan, if you watch yesterday's, I talk about that because I'm just using pure color straight out of the tube. And a lot of it, like don't water down your color with too much medium, right? And don't overmix it. Don't overmix it on the surface or on the palette, right? Especially when you want pure, rich color. Direction of strokes does not really make that much of a difference. Direction of strokes will only make a difference in terms of how it's going to catch the glare, whether or not you want it catching glare or not, or form. Direction of brushstroke usually tells more about the form, and if how you apply the paint will either catch glare or not catch glare. Sometimes you want that to happen, perhaps, and then there's other areas like in the shadow, other areas that you don't want that to happen if you're doing more representational, more realistic painting. If you're doing more impressionistic, very loose, very, thick impasto everywhere, it may not matter as much for that. I'm using phthalo turquoise for the this green eucalyptus leaf with some white and a little tiny bit of cad lemon. Thank you, Donna. Okay, awesome. Cool. So we have, 5 more minutes here. Gosh, this might be a day 3 painting, perhaps. So coming back into one thing I do like to do a little bit thinner is sometimes the glaze on these jars. So I like to use some medium for that. What's interesting is this is not the direction that this pattern is going, but I know if I make it go that way, more curved with the belly of the form, it will, create more illusion of form within my painting. And then of course, the further away from the light source, from the top plane, this color can get darker, appear more bleached out and burned out, with the light source. So strong light, tends to wash out value, wash out local color. Just a light shadow, will take things darker and more muted. Absence of light. I think with patterns, it's just really important to try to be specific with your brush strokes, even if the exact shape, again, is not copying reality perfectly. I think it's more important just to be distinct on a pattern with your stroke. and try not to, go over it too many times. If you do need to redo something, like just painting whatever the color was underneath back on top, or like that probably shouldn't, or actually that's good that I just did that because I can show you, because I made kind of too dark of a stroke right next to the highlight. So if you do that, don't scrape it off, just make a lighter stroke on top in the exact same, direction, start to finish. Just to lighten it a bit. Same thing with this pattern. The actual design is not going with the form, not telling the story of the form of the sphere. So I'm just going to change it for my painting so that it does kind of tell the story of the form more than just copying the reality. I think that that's important because we're working on a two-dimensional surface trying to make things have the illusion of three dimensions. So to me, form in that case is most important. I'm going to just make this green leaf maybe catch a little bit more light here, as it's kind of cupping the light. And I want that edge to be a little bit sharper there, so that all of my leaves are not the exact same color or value, and therefore they don't look like they all are getting hit with the equal amount of light. So again, just kind of going for that gradation and movement in the whole piece, not just in one area of the composition. Okay. And, if I want this vase to feel a little bit more lit up, I can just, take a little more light into the background. I won't use white though, because that will just go maybe kind of chalky. So I'll just use one of the colors that was in my mixture, which is yellow ochre. Especially around this top left edge. Just kind of getting more of a sensation of glow around that, or halation of light around that top left edge. And walk it out, and walk it out, and walk it out. Okay. Maybe this is a little too contoury over here, so just take some background color and, layer over that. It's really kind of up to you, like how much you want that contour to show up. Usually you don't want it to show up the entire contour down. It can look a little cut out and pasted on. And actually I'm going to take this light more across. There really isn't a shadow there on the top shoulder. Sometimes just kind of obliterating an edge and then building it back up is the right way to go. Kind of feel like you're on like a little pilgrimage here, one brushstroke at a time. So I do like to try to work that main area of focus for really as long as I need to get it more dynamic, more interesting before I start working everything else. So in the first stage, I would say, whether you're working straight through alla prima or not, the first stage of the painting is really just kind of building everything up at the same level of completion, let's say, where you're just kind of blocking everything in. But then even if you're working alla prima, after you get past that first initial stage, then you want to spend more time on, whatever your star of the show area is. Okay. Let's see. Oh, goodness. Okay. So that is our time today, everybody. Tomorrow's demonstration will most likely be in the afternoon. And then let's say, not that this is finished, but let's say I was getting close to finish on this, I would just take like a soft flat brush. This is a ruby satin. Just kind of smooth out some of this. Sometimes actually, you might want to leave some of this in the background, or if you get into a situation where you feel like you have covered up too much of the background and you want to reveal more of it, with the caveat of it being still wet. If it's still wet, you can actually remove some of it with like some medium if you want to do that by, kind of digging into the canvas. So I guess I'll do that for today. And then for tomorrow, see what happens on this one. So this might end up being like a 3-hour painting. I don't know. We'll see. Or if I'm feeling like I want to finish it today, then I'll start something new with you guys tomorrow. Okay. All right. Let's see if there's any final questions. Obviously the apples, we still need to work. I still need to work those more. And the other thing I'll say is like, the more this gets more layers and less kind of fresh and painterly, the more I'm going to have to do that with other elements as well. So just keep that in mind, because you want the whole painting to have like a cohesive look to it. So it's like, if you take this far, then you're going to have to go further on the apples or the carnations, where right now they are very kind of simplified look, very painterly kind of look. So yeah. Okay, everybody, I hope that you've enjoyed this. Thank you, Jan. I'm so glad that you're enjoying the brushwork. Yeah, I think brushwork, it's like our handwriting, right? It's like our language. There's fundamental things about how to apply the paint, how to use your brush to describe form, or, apply paint flatly, which, won't get glare as much. But in terms of like how we make those strokes, that's all, I think, very, very particular to every person's nervous system. And yeah, it is kind of like, it's part of your voice, right? It is part of your artistic voice, how you apply the paint, how you make a brush stroke. It is like a handwriting and like a language. So, hi, Barbara. Thank you, Arena. She likes my crazy wild earrings. There is like the tiniest little bit of that color in this shirt, so that's why I wore those today. Might be kind of hard to see on camera, but okay, cool. Oh, I did not answer this by Jan. She says, I wipe my brush, but my paintings seem duller. So you could also, Jan, you could just not be using enough paint too. So I would consider that. You could maybe not be putting enough paint down. And sometimes especially in the lights, if too much of your paint is getting into the bristles, rather than sitting more on the tip of the bristles or on the edge of the brush, then that can, create a lot of dull looking color as well, because the paint just won't go down quite thick enough for it to look, like there's a reason why it looks so rich and vibrant and powerful fresh out of the tube, right? And then as soon as maybe we thin it down too much or don't apply it thick enough like that in the areas that we want it to be fresher, then it can look dull. So I would pay attention to that too. It might not be a matter of, you're not wiping your brush properly or whatever. Like I can actually paint with the same brush and there's actually colors inside too from like painting shadows, but I can use a shadow brush for the light brush as well. So it's really not a matter of like, how well did I wipe that brush? It's more a matter of how am I loading the paint on the brush. So I would pay attention to that too. That might help you. Okay, yay! Thank you guys so much for all the love. I love you right back. And I will see you tomorrow. Tomorrow's will most likely be in the afternoon because I have meetings. appointments all in the morning. So KKK. Jan says, thanks for answering. How did you know I'm too conservative with paint? Well, my dear, because I have taught a lot of people. And not only online, I mean, I think part of why I've been able to teach online successfully is just because I've had so much in-person teaching. So I started teaching in person in 2011, fresh out of art school. And there's really common things that almost everybody does. So you're not alone in that, right? So that's how, and whenever I could, so that's how I can kind of diagnose in a way, like, here's the possible things that could be happening. Of course, online, I have to do it that way. Like it could be this, this, or this. And if you're doing this, then it's probably this, so, but it's from teaching in person, which I'm very happily bringing in-person workshops back next year in my studio here in Denver, or what will be my new studio here in Denver next year. So I'm excited to do that too. It's time to get back together. Okay. All right, everybody, have a wonderful day. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas, and happy month of giving. Now, I hope that you go and pay it forward and give to somebody else, or be generous today to somebody else in your life for what you've received here. So keep the cycle going. Bye for now.